Hello, everyone. Today we have lecture number 37, and in this lecture we are going to see a very simple technique, very effective also, to achieve the conscious astral projection using the law of correspondence. This technique is called the jump. So today we are having an actually very short lecture, but it is very interesting and it is very effective. So let's start immediately with today's lecture. Let me just check that everything's okay here. Yes. And the objective, as I was saying, of this lecture will be to learn this technique to consciously go into the astral plane continuously, in a conscious way. We had already talked extensively about astral projection in lecture number 3. There we talk about what is astral projection, what are the use of the astral projection, if there really if there is really any danger in astral projecting. We talk about that extensively. But before explaining today's technique and to enter into context, since there may be people who have not seen lecture number 3, so I'm going to give a brief explanation about astral projection, about what is astral projection. It is called projection or unfolding, because what we do when we go to sleep is that we unfold ourselves. It is that our soul goes out of our physical body and we move with that other body, which even it looks similar to the physical body. It is actually made of a different nature. It is made of molecules, while the physical body is made of cells. So with this body, you can, for example, fly, you can, for example, go through walls, or you can, for example, stretch a finger and the finger will stretch. And what we remember as dreams when we wake up is actually what we live during our unfolding. And as I was saying, that is something very natural. Actually, we astral project every time that we go to sleep. The thing is that we don't do that consciously. And it is called astral because with that body, with the astral body, you can actually visit the different astrals in the solar system. So actually, if you want to know if there is life in Mars or Jupiter or any other planet, with your astral body, you can go to other planets and you can visit there. That is the reason why it is called astral. So the most important part is that we understand that the astral projection is something very natural. The thing is that as we are unconscious during the day, as we are totally asleep, dreaming with our thoughts and our emotions that belongs to the fifth dimension, because you can see that you cannot see in the physical world a thought. You cannot see in the physical world an emotion because they belong to your own fifth dimension. And when you go and you dream, you are actually living in the world of the emotions and the thoughts, which is the fifth dimension. You go there. And as you are totally unconscious during the day, you go totally unconscious during the night. And no matter if something very strange happens during your dream, you don't get to realize that you are actually dreaming because we are totally unconscious. Allow me just a second. And if we understand that that is a natural thing, the interesting part is to make that conscious, that you can make yourself aware when you find yourself in the astral world, when you find yourself in the world of dream, and you can move at will there. Now, what can I do through this practice? What is the astral projection useful for? Well, actually, there are many things to do in the astral projection. Actually, I think they are limitless because, I only list many here just to give you some examples. But actually, anything that you want to investigate, anywhere that you want to visit, you can do that in the astral projection. All of us, we have inside us a consciousness. And that consciousness is composed of the different parts of our being. For example, our internal father is our inner wisdom. It is actually a part of our being. And in a conscious astral projection, we can actually invoke our inner father. We can meet the parts of our consciousness. We can invoke our divine mother. We can meet the part of the love of our unconsciousness. We can ask them for wisdom. We can ask them for guidance. We can ask them for answers or for anything that you want to investigate. For example, you are receiving this knowledge in this self-knowledge course. Here we talk about many topics, and it is very important that you go to the astral plane and that you invoke your own inner father and that you ask your own consciousness to show you the truth of the things that we are talking here, that you check this knowledge for yourself in the astral projection. Also, in an astral projection, you can visit places in this world. If you want to go to Egypt, you can go in the astral projection so you can see the pyramids, etc. Or you can, as I was saying, visit other planets. You can, and that is very interesting, investigate your past lives. So in the astral projection, you can actually investigate if there really are past existences, and you can know who you were in your previous existence or in any of your existences, or as we explained, for example, in lecture number 2 and in lecture number 8, we have 108 opportunities as humans per each cycle to awaken our consciousness. So it is important to know in what existence we currently are. If we are, for example, in the existence 108, and we can investigate that in the astral projection, we can actually know that it is our last chance in this cycle to awaken our consciousness. We can investigate our karmas. So, for example, if we have a disease and we want to know why we have that disease, what is the origin, what is the cause, what was the mistake that I made that made me to have this situation, that disease, that recurrence, that we have an accident or whatever, or we want to transcend a karma and we want to negotiate the karma, we can go there, investigate what are the psychological defects that we need to work in, what type of sacrifice for humanity we need to make in exchange for the solution or to transcend that karma. We can go to the objective tribunal of justice in the astral world, and we can actually negotiate our karmas. Another thing that we can do, if we, for example, don't have a partner to do the work of the suprasexuality, we can, in the astral plane, ask to our Divine Mother to show us who is that person that can help us to do our sexual work. Also, in the astral projection, we can go checking like the progress that we are having in our internal world, in our internal work. And if we want to know what is the current state of our sexual energy, because as we was explaining in previous lectures, if we want to make our energy ascend to awaken our consciousness, we need to make a work of purification of that energy. So in the astral world, we are going to be how we can go check in the progress in the purification of our energy. Also, we can check the progress in the work with the psychological death, with the death of our own ego. We can actually check all our internal progress in the astral projection. We can also visit temples of wisdom. We can contact masters, enlightened masters such as Buddha or Master Jesus or Krishna or Hermes Trismegistro, Zoroastro. There are many masters. There are masters of the medicine that we can also invoke in the astral plane as Paracelso, Galeno, where many. And we can actually ask those masters for guidance or to answer some of our existential questions. Actually, all of that and many other things are possible in a conscious astral projection. Now, explaining the technique that I am bringing you today. To understand this technique that is very simple, it is important to understand how the law of correspondence works. The law of correspondence is that law that says that as it is as below, so above, as within, so without. So this means that what we do during the day in the physical plane, in this external world, we repeat at night. So as I was saying, as we are unconscious during the day, and during the day, we are never aware of ourselves. We are not in self-observation. We are not living the present moment, being like conscious of ourselves. So we are just making things mechanically. We wake up, we take a bath, we go to work, we go there and we make everything we need to do in the work. We go home, we relax, we take dinner, we go to bed, and during the day we stopped and we make ourselves conscious of being there, of our own presence, of our own being. We never remember ourselves. That is what we repeat at night. During the night, we go to work, we take a bath, we have dinner, we go to bed, etc. We go repeating the same things in the astral plane. Yeah, sometimes you project some desires, and sometimes you make, different things, and sometimes your inner being show you like something that you can actually realize that is something superior, that is actually a message in that dream. But that is something like very uncommon because we are so unconscious during the day that we are like machines. So, if we understand the law of correspondence and we understand that in the astral plane, our body is actually different, that if in the astral plane we take a jump, we remain floating because there is different. There are half of the laws that we have in the physical world, and the law of gravity doesn't work in the fifth dimension. So if you actually take a jump in the physical plane, you just go to the floor. But if you take a jump in the astral projection, you are going to remain floating. Or if, for example, here in the physical plane, I stretch my finger, well, nothing is going to happen. But if in the astral world, I stretch my finger with the intention of stretching it like this, then the finger is going to stretch, it's going to lengthen long. So, knowing this, we are going to use the law of correspondence and this knowledge to start projecting ourselves consciously into the astral world. How are we going to do that? We are going to be making reality checks during the day. So, as many times as we remember this, we are going to ask ourselves, wanting to actually wonder, am I in the physical plane or am I in the astral plane? It can sound like funny, but actually, when you are dreaming, you are absolutely convinced that you are in the physical plane. No matter if you see elephant flying during the dream, you just see like it is normal. We have lost our capacity for wonder. We see an elephant flying and whatever. We are during the dream and we never ask ourselves, well, is this a dream or am I what? Because it's something like normal. No. And so what are we going to do? We're going to awaken that capacity for wonder. And we are going to ask ourselves, well, am I in the physical plane or am I in the astral plane? And to check, we are going to take a jump. If we go to the floor, we know that we are in the physical plane. And or if we stretch a finger and it doesn't stretch us, so we know that we are in the physical plane. So every time we are going to do this, we wake up, we are going to make our reality check. We take a bath and we are going to make a reality check. We have breakfast and we do a reality check. We go to work and there when we arrive, we do our reality check. The same after coffee time, after arriving home, after or going to bed, or before going to bed, we are going to make our reality checks. And as many times as you remember, what is going to happen? That by law of correspondence, you are going to find yourself repeating the same exercise during your dreams while you are in the fifth dimension. And when you there make the check, when you take the jump, you are going to remain floating, and there you're going to realize that you are in the fifth dimension, that you are in the astral plane, and you can go and you can move a wheel in the astral plane. Or you are going to find yourself stretching your finger to realize if you are in the physical plane or in the astral plane, and the finger is going to stretch. So there you're going to receive like a shock, and you are going to make yourself aware that you are in the astral plane, and you can go and you can move at will and make your investigations in the astral plane. So that is actually the practice. It is something very simple. It is so simple, but it's actually very effective. So what are you going to do? Reality checks. You're going to ask yourself, am I in the astral plane or am I in the physical world? And you're going to check. You're going to check like by taking the jump. Taking a jump is actually very good because the merely fact of jumping like give you like a shock, like a conscious shock. And when you remain floating and you can actually go and fly, you're going to experience something beautiful. So that is, you're going to be constantly asking yourself, am I in the physical plane or in the astral plane? And you make the reality check, jumping or stretching your finger, for example. And you are going to jump as many times as you remember. For example, and it is very important to do this reality check when we get out of bed. Why? Because many times we go out of bed, we go to the bathroom, we, brush our teeth, and we wake up. And we realize that all that process that we made was actually in a dream. That is something very common. So every time that you go out of bed, always check. Always take your jump or always stretch your finger to actually check. Every time you change activities, take the jump. Every time, make your reality check. Or every time that you return to self-remembering. We must be all the time, be remembering ourselves. All the time, like taking our attention to our interior, to the self-observation, to discover ourselves, to discover our psychological defects, to eliminate them so we remain conscious during the day. As the more the time that we remain conscious during the day, the more the opportunities to awaken consciousness during the night. So actually, self-remembering is so important, because you are making yourself conscious during the day. You are going to repeat that at night. And when can we jump? Also, when seeing things out of the ordinary, because it's very common that during the hours of dream we see out of the ordinary things. We see, as I was saying, elephant flying, or we see dogs with two heads, many things. And if we get used to make the reality check every time that we see something out of the commons, so when we see something out of the commons in the astral world, because of law of correspondence, we are going to make our reality check. So there we have an opportunity to make us ourselves conscious during the astral. And what is going to be the result of this practice? That you're going to remain, if you take the jump, in the astral plane, floating in the air, experiencing the freedom of being under only 24 laws. Here in the physical world, we are subject to 48 laws. There you're going to fly, and you're going to experience how marvelous it is actually to fly in the astral plane. So you are going to experience a conscious astral projection, and you're going to be able to make all the investigations that you want, and the most conscious that you are during the day, the most conscious you are going to be during the night. So you are going to have like longer periods of consciousness during your astral projection. And actually, this has been today's lecture. To achieve the conscious astral projection, the only requirement is to start practicing with discipline and patience until you achieve it. That is. So this has been the technique, and as always, I want to invite you to connect with us next Sunday to see lecture number 38. There we are going to talk about the heart path and the Christic work, and you are going to discover what are the obstacles that you will find on the way to awaken your consciousness, and how to overcome all those obstacles. So see you next Sunday. Thank you for connecting, and ciao ciao. Have a very good rest of the day.